In John chapter 2, we find Jesus at a wedding in Cana of Galilee, where he performed his first recorded miracle, turning water into wine. But John tells us something very important about the containers Jesus used. John 2:6 says, "There were 6 stone water jars, each with the capacity to hold about 20 or 30 gallons, and they were there for the Jewish rites of purification." To understand this miracle, we need to understand what these jars represented. Jewish purification involved ceremonial washing. People washed their hands, vessels, and sometimes their bodies according to religious customs and Old Testament requirements. Mark chapter 7 tells us that the Jews carefully washed their hands before eating and practiced various washings of cups, pots, and vessels. These practices were concerned with ceremonial purity, being clean according to religious requirements, not necessarily removing physical dirt or moral sin. Why stone water jars? John specifically tells us that the jars were made of stone. This is significant because under Jewish purity regulations, stone vessels were not subject to ritual uncleanliness in the same way that earthenware vessels were. So these were suitable containers for water used in purification. And these weren't small containers. Each could hold roughly 75 to 115 liters of water. And then Jesus enters this scene and asked the servants to fill the 6 large stone jars with water. It's important to understand that the water itself was not unclean or contaminated. It was water set aside for ceremonial purification. Jesus takes the very water associated with ceremonial purification and transforms it into wine. This miracle points beyond the wedding celebration. Jesus was revealing something greater. He had come to bring something new. The old purification system pointed toward cleansing, but Jesus would ultimately become the source of true spiritual cleansing. He wasn't simply making unclean water clean. He was taking something associated with external purification and filling it with a new meaning: joy, abundance, grace, and the glory of the new covenant. John 2, therefore, gives us more than a miracle of provision. It shows us Jesus bringing greater meaning to what came before. The water jars represented ceremonial purity. The wine represented the abundance and joy revealed through Christ. And through this miracle, Jesus began to reveal his glory, showing that true cleansing and fullness are ultimately found in him.